Hey guys, it's JCube, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be teaching an intermediate 3x3 solving method. So, I'm going to be assuming that you have some basic knowledge on the cube and can solve it from beginning to end in about a minute or two. If your time is a bit slower or faster than that, that's fine too. This tutorial is for anyone who's had some experience with the Rubik's Cube but wants to get a bit faster at it. If you don't have any experience with the cube or just want a refresher, I would suggest that you check out my beginner's tutorial. But before we get into this tutorial, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Now, let's do an overview of the method I'll be teaching. First, we solve the white cross. This is the same as the first step in the beginner's tutorial, but I'll be giving you guys some tips and tricks for a more efficient cross. Next, we do something that's called F2L. F2L stands for first two layers, and you may have guessed it, but in this step, we solve the first two layers. In a beginner's method, we do the first layer and the second layers separately, but with F2L, we're solving the first and second layers simultaneously, and we'll see more on that when I'm teaching F2L later in the tutorial. After that, we do what's called 2-look OLL. OLL stands for orientation of last layer. In other words, solving the yellow side. 2-look just means that we're going to be solving the yellow side in two steps. So 2-look OLL is just a simple way of saying that we're going to be solving the yellow in two steps. So first, we'll solve the yellow cross, and then we're going to recognize the specific case after we get the yellow cross, then do some algorithms to solve the yellow side. The last step is called 2-look PLL. PLL stands for permutation of last layer, or in other words, finishing off the last layer. And we already know what 2-look means, so 2-look PLL is just saying that we're going to be solving the last parts of the last layer in two steps. So first, we'll do the corners, and then we'll do the edges. These four steps are also known as CFOP, which stands for cross, F2L, OLL, and PLL. This method was developed and made popular by Jessica Fridrich, so the method is also called the Fridrich's method. Either way, this method is more efficient than what I taught in my beginner's method tutorial and will help you get your times down and make your solving much more efficient. If you're looking to get more into cubing and getting faster at it, then this video is for you. So, let's get into the first step. In this intermediate method of solving, we won't be making a white cross around the yellow center before moving them to the white side. Instead, we'll just be putting the white edge pieces around the white center piece immediately. And to teach this, I'm going to be doing a few example solves of doing an intermediate white cross and explain exactly what I'm doing along the way. So here I'm going to do an example. So since we're putting the white edge pieces immediately around the white center piece, I see that the green and white edge piece is already in place where it should be, so that's good. And I see this white and orange edge piece. So what I'm going to do is move this over so that that matches, and then move it into the white layer. And as you can see, we've kind of got half the cross here. Now for this blue edge piece, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to turn it down so that this is matching and put it in. But while doing that, I messed up the orange piece, so I'll have to put that back. And so this is kind of the idea here. We're just putting these edge pieces right where they should be instead of putting them around the yellow center and then putting them down. And so for this one, I'll have to move it over, put that side it's on down, move it in place, and then fix whatever I messed up. And as you can see, we've got the cross done, and much more efficiently than how we would do it in the beginner's method as well. So for this case, I see that the white and orange edge piece is already matching here, the orange colors. So then I'm just going to turn that side twice to get the white and orange edge piece in place. Now here I see this white and blue edge piece. I was already over here, so I can just move it in place like so. And there wasn't a cross piece here, so I don't have to fix that. Now this white and red piece is also pretty easy to get down here. I'm just going to move the top layers so that this is matching and turn that side down. Now for this white and green edge piece, there's a couple of things we can do here. And one of the things is we'll move the side it's on up, move the top layer over, get it out of the way, fix the orange, and then move the white and green edge piece down. Or another thing we could have done is, this is a bit more of an advanced trick, but since it's right here, it's just one move from being in the white layer. It's just that these colors won't be matching. But what we can do is move what we already have, these three edge pieces, over, put the white and green edge piece in here. And then as you can see, the cross is pretty much solved now, and all we have to do is move the bottom layer over, and all these side colors are matching as well. So that's a bit more of an advanced trick, but that's what we're trying to do here, get a bit more efficient at solving the cross. Alright, so for this example, there's not really a lot of stuff already in place, but one thing I see is that we have the white and blue edge piece, and we can move it right here and move it down into the white layer. After that, I see that we have the white and red edge piece. We can move it up into the top layer, move it over, fix that blue, and then we can put it where it should be. Now we have this orange piece. I'm going to just turn the side it's on down, and then we see it's matching and put it in place. For this green and white edge piece, I can rotate this side it's on twice so that it's in the top layer, and then move it over, match the colors, put it in, and then fix whatever I messed up. And there's the cross. So the whole idea behind the intermediate cross is that you're not doing the white cross in multiple parts. Instead, you're just moving the edges right into place where they should be. This is obviously much more efficient than making a white cross around the yellow centerpiece and then moving them down. Hopefully, the example solves helped you gain an understanding of how you might start wanting to solve your crosses. I encourage you to practice this so you can get faster at it, and if you need to, go watch the example solves again so that you can apply that into your own solving. Now let's get into what's probably what I would consider the most important topic in this video, and that's F2L. Learning F2L will make your solving much more efficient, and that's what speed solving is all about. Not wasting moves, learning more algorithms, and etc. to solve more efficiently. So let's get into it. First, we're going to look for matching corner and edge pieces that are in the top layer. And by matching, I mean the colors. So for example, this white, orange, and blue corner piece, I would say, matches with this orange and blue edge piece. And that's because I know both of them will end up right here when we're done solving. And if you don't have a matching corner and edge piece in the top layer, then whichever one you don't have, then move it up so that it is in the top layer. So for example, with this white, green, and orange corner piece, its edge piece isn't in the top layer. So what we would do is we'd have to move it so that they're both in the top layer. However, I'm going to be focusing on the orange and blue matching pieces right now. And after you've found them and they're both in the top layer, then move the corner piece so that it's above the slot of where it's going to go. One of the cases we can have is if the corner doesn't have white as its top color, and when we turn the cube so that the white color is not facing us, then the matching edge is directly across from us, right here. And another thing is if the corner and the edge have different colors on top. As you can see, the corner has blue on top, and the matching edge has orange on top. Then what we're going to do here with the corner above the slot is a very simple short algorithm, R, U, R prime. And as you can see, the corner and the edge are in the slot together. And you can also think of that little algorithm as moving the corner towards the edge so that they're matching, and while you're doing that, that also brings up the slot. And then you can move it into the slot and fix the cross. And this is called an F2L pair, when the corner and the edge are matching and they're both together like this. Now, this is the same for the left side. So let's say that we had a case like this. So as you can see, we have the white for the corner piece, the white is not on top. It's facing away from us, so it's not right here. And the top colors are different, and the edge is directly across from us. So this would not work if the edge was right here. Now the algorithm for this is L prime, U prime, L. It's just kind of a mirror of what we just did, but it's for the left side. And so you could think of it as matching up the F2L pair, which is also bringing up the slot, moving it in, and moving the side down. Now here we're going to be looking at the white, blue, and red corner piece and its matching edge piece, which is over here. Now if we move the corner above the slot where it's going to go, and then have the white not facing us, we can see that the tops are not matching, but the edge is not directly across from us. Here, all we have to do is just do a couple moves so that the edge is directly across from us. And this just requires a bit of intuition. And so to do this, what I might do is turn it so that the white is facing me. And then I turn the top layer like so. And because there's nothing here, I can just turn this side and then move the edge over and then turn that side back down, fixing the cross. As you can see now, if we put the corner above where it's going to go, then the edge is directly across from us, the white's not facing us, and the top colors are different, and we can just do the insert here. And let's try another example. So this would be for the right side. And so here's the white, green, and red corner piece and its matching edge piece. And if we have the corner above where it's going to go, white not facing us, and the tops are different, but the edge piece is not across from us, then all we can do is we can move this over, put the corner down, move the edge over, then put the corner back up. And as you can see, we have this very simple case now, and we can insert. Another case we can have is if the white is facing up for the corner piece. And if the white is facing up for the corner piece, we don't have to move the corner piece above the slot where it's going to go. Instead, we'll focus on its matching edge piece. And here we're looking at the white, blue, and orange corner and edge piece. So with the edge piece, what we want to do is match this edge piece color with its corresponding center piece. So for example, if this edge piece were over here, then we'd move it so that these colors are matching. After this, you're going to turn it away from the slot it's going to go. So here's where it's going to go. And so away would be this way. After that, we're going to move the corner right above where the edge is. And then we're going to bring this back down and fix the cross. And in doing so, we see that we've made an F2L pair. Now to insert this, we're just going to move it over so that we can bring the slot up, move it into the slot, and then in. Or a simple algorithm you can memorize for that, for the left side, is U prime, L prime, U, L. Or just think of it as inserting this into the slot. Now here's the exact same case, except this time we're looking at the white, red, and blue corner and its matching edge piece. So here again, the white is facing up, and so we're not going to focus on the corner, we're going to focus on the edge. And we're going to move it so that this color is matching with its center piece, and this is where it's going to go. So we're going to move it away from its slot. We're going to move the corner piece above where the edge is, and then we're going to bring it up and fix the cross. And now we have an F2L pair. Now here you can just do a simple algorithm, U, R, U prime, R prime, or you can think of it as inserting this into its slot. So another possibility is if the corner and the edge piece are together, but they're not oriented correctly. So this isn't a solved F2L pair that's ready to insert. And there's a bunch of different cases you can have here as well. The corner piece could be like this, or it could be like this. But whatever case you have, what you want to do when they're together but not oriented correctly is the same. You basically just want to split them up So to do this, I will put the corner down, right there, and move the edge over and bring the corner back up so that they're separate from each other. And notice I did it where I wouldn't be messing up any F2L pairs. For example, I wouldn't want to put the corner down here because then that brings this F2L pair up, and then when I move this edge over and bring the corner back up to separate them, I've unsolved this F2L pair that was already in its correct position. So I do it where I won't be messing up anything. And here we have just a case we've seen before where the white is not facing on top and the tops aren't matching, but with the white facing away from us, the edge piece isn't directly across from us. So we'll just make that happen and then insert it into its slot. And so whatever case you have, if the corner and the edge piece are together but not oriented correctly, you just want to separate them and get it to a case we already know and then solve it. Another case is if both the corner and edge piece are in the F2L slot they're supposed to go, but one of them or both of them aren't oriented correctly. So in this case, what you want to do is take them out of the slot and separate them and then solve it. So here we'll take them out of the slot like so. And actually for that case, while doing so, I already separated them. And we know what to do with this case. So match this since the white is facing on top, and then put the edge away from the slot, move the corner over it, and then insert the F2L pair. Bring up the slot, in, and down. And so if the corner and edge happen to be in the F2L slot already, but not oriented correctly, then you just want to bring them out and separate them, and then solve. Alright, if you understood that part of the video, then the rest of this video shouldn't be too bad. F2L is one of the hardest things to learn when you're looking to improve your solving. And you may have to rewatch the F2L part of this video if you're not quite getting it yet. And if you're not, that's okay. It took me a while too. But trust me, it's worth the time and effort to learn it. Now, a couple of things before we go on. This method of F2L is called intuitive F2L. This means that we're not doing algorithms based on the specific cases, but executing an intuitive solution to make and insert a matching corner and edge pair into where it's supposed to go. For reference, however, I have in the description box below a link to all of the possible F2L cases and their algorithm solutions. There are 41 of them, so there's quite a bit, and I myself don't really use any of them, but I thought it might be helpful for some of you. Now, let's get on to the third step. If you've watched my beginner's tutorial, then you know how to do part of this step, and that's solving the yellow cross. There's 4 possibilities for you to have: a bar shape, a right angle, no edges, or, if you're lucky, all edges. As a reminder, the bar shape algorithm is F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. The right angle algorithm is F, U, R, U prime, R prime, F prime. If you have no edges, then do either the right angle algorithm or the bar shape algorithm. Then, whichever one you did first, you'll have to do the one you didn't do after that. So if you do the bar shape algorithm first, then you'll have to do the right angle algorithm after that. And these algorithms are all getting us to a yellow cross. And if you already have all your edges oriented or you already have a yellow cross, then you don't have to do anything here. So after creating a yellow cross, we have to orient the corners. And now there's 7 possible cases for you to have here. In a beginner's method, you would have just done a single algorithm multiple times until the yellow side was solved. But in this intermediate method, we're going to be learning an algorithm for each case. If it sounds difficult, don't worry, it's not as hard as it sounds. Here are the 7 cases that you can have. At first glance, you might notice that cases 1 and 2 look similar, as do cases 3 and 4, and cases 5 and 6. However, there are differences, and it's key that you learn to distinguish them from each other. So what's the difference? Well, it's about how the yellow corners are oriented. For example, I have cases 1 and 2 right here with me. And at first glance, they look very similar, especially if you orient number 1 this way. And they look exactly the same on top, but if you look at the corners, you see that for case number 1, this corner is oriented so that this yellow sticker is facing away from you. But for case number 2, the corner is oriented in a way that the yellow sticker is facing towards you. And that's the difference with cases 3 and 4, who look very similar as well, but the corners are oriented differently. And so it's important that you learn to distinguish it, so just look at the corners and determine what case you have. And before we get into the cases, be careful in making sure that your case is facing the same way as shown in the pictures. For example, for case number 1, you want to make sure that it's oriented this way before doing the algorithm. That might seem a bit obvious, but just a heads up. Now let's learn the algorithms for each case. Here's case number 1. Make sure you have it oriented this way, and make sure you look at the corners and determine that this is the case you have. And here's the algorithm. R, U2, R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime. Here's case number 2, and the algorithm is R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. And if you've seen my beginner's tutorial, then you probably know this algorithm for the fish case. So here's case 3. And to learn the algorithm for case 3, we have to quickly learn about something called wide moves. And these are represented with small letters. And so wide moves are basically where you turn 2 layers at a time. So if you see a small r in an algorithm, that means turning these 2 layers, like so. And so with that in mind, let's learn this algorithm. It goes wide r, u, r prime, u prime, wide r prime, so all of these down, f, r, and lastly f prime. Here's case number 4. The algorithm is R2, D, R prime, U2, R, D prime, R prime, U2, R prime. Here's case number 5. And the algorithm goes R, U2, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime. Here's case 6. R, U2, R2, U prime, R2, U prime, R2, U2, and lastly R. Here's the final case. F, R prime, F prime, and here we have another wide move. It's wide R, U, R, U prime, and wide R prime. Learning those 7 algorithms will help you get much faster, so I encourage you to go back to that part of the video if you need to see the algorithms again. I will also put a link in the description box below that contains all of the algorithms I teach in this video. Alright, now we're at the very last step, to look PLL. This step will be similar to what I taught in my beginner's method tutorial, but with a few more algorithms to help with your solving efficiency. We first solve the corners and then the edges. Now you probably already know an algorithm for solving the corners of the last layer, but I'll show 2 here. The first one I taught in my beginner's tutorial, and the second one is a new one. And if you've seen my beginner's tutorial, you don't have to learn it, but it can be a helpful option. Just choose which algorithm you prefer for solving the corners of the last layer. So here's the first algorithm, or the first option, for solving the corners of the last layer. And it goes R prime, F, R prime, B2, R, F prime, R prime, B2, R2. And the corners are solved. Here's the second option. And for this algorithm, you have to make sure that the corners, the matching corners, are facing to the left, away from you. With the other algorithm, you want them in the back. But for this one, you want them to be facing to the left. And so the algorithm goes R, U, R prime, U prime, R prime, F, R2, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, F prime. And the corners are done. Alright, after we do the corners, it's time to do the edges. And here, there's 4 possible cases you can have. You may already know the first 2 cases, but let's go over all of them. Here's the first algorithm, and here we do a cycle of these 3 edges in a clockwise direction. So in other words, if you have this matching block, you want to put it in the back, and if this piece has to go here, then you'll be doing this algorithm. It goes R2, U, R, U, R prime, U prime, R prime, U prime, R prime, U, R prime. Now here's the counterclockwise algorithm, where these 3 edges have to cycle in a counterclockwise direction. In other words, this edge has to go here. And the algorithm goes R, U prime, R, U, R, U, R, U prime, R prime, U prime, and finish it off with R2. Now here's the next case, where the edges have to swap with the one directly across from them. For example, we see this yellow and red edge piece. It has to go right here. And here we have the yellow and orange edge piece, which has to come over here. And it's the same for these yellow and green and yellow and blue edge pieces as well. They have to swap with the edge piece that's across from them. The algorithm goes M2, which is talking about the middle layer here, U, M2, U2, M2, U, M2. For this last case, the edges have to swap with an adjacent edge, meaning the edge that's next to it. So here we have the yellow and red edge piece, and it has to come over here. And here we have the yellow and blue edge piece, and it has to come over here. Same for the other side. Now the algorithm for this goes, once you've oriented it so that the edge swaps are placed like this, the algorithm goes M2, U, M2, U, M prime, and the M layer follows the L layer. So M prime is this way. So M prime, U2, M2, U2, M prime, and lastly U2. Again, I'll link a PDF in the description with all these algorithms for you. And just a helpful tip, in my experience, repeating the algorithms maybe about 10 times a day for about 2 to 3 days helps get it in your memory. And that's the end of the tutorial. Hopefully, you were able to gain an understanding of the CFOP solving method. I wish you all the best in your cubing. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.